And welcome back to the Professional Rec, our YouTube channel. This is part 2 of a a series of videos that I promised that I'll be making about cement. So this is part 2. And in this part 2, I'm going to talk about the key factors of cement that you need to keep in mind when you are choosing your cement so that you don't end up with the wrong cement for the wrong project. Remember, the choice of cement will in huge part be dependent on the type of project that you're doing. And I say that the type of cement, or the quality and the grade of the cement will in turn be dependent on the kind of raw material that the company or the manufacturer used to make it. So that's why you need to stay to the end and listen to this video. Learn, get information, and actually also be talking about the best practices that you need to keep in mind when you're using cement, and then I'll be talking about the tips that you need to keep in mind when you're using cement. So let's start by talking about the key qualities or the key quality parameters, and these parameters are the same parameters that inspectors, like if you're in Kenya, we have what we call a KEDS, right? We have the Kenya Bureau of Standards. These government inspectors, they have to inspect every product that every product that is produced in Kenya to ensure that the standards meet the minimum required standards set by the government so that it is suitable for consumption. So cement also is not exempted. So it has to be measured. The those inspectors follow certain parameters to achieve that. I don't know if I'm making any sense. So I'm going to name those parameters, and actually these parameters are the same that you are supposed to use or to adhere to when you're choosing your cements. First of all, the first parameter is comprehensive strength. When I'm talking about comprehensive strength, I mean the you remember in the previous video I talked about megapascals, right? Where megapascals is the SI units for measuring the strength of cement. So the comprehensive strength of cement, that's the number one factor that you need to keep in mind. So when you're choosing cement, depending on the purpose, and in this case, when you're using that cement for general purpose, the minimum compressive strength for that cement needs to be 32.5 MPa. MPa is the SI unit for, or the short form for megapascals. But in Kenya, you'll not find that written on the bag of cement. Usually they just write 32.5 R. R meaning rapid. Rapid means that cement sets and dries or cures very fast. Right? Rapid, rapid, rapid. So keep that in mind. So we're talking about that when the cement you're buying cement for general purpose or general construction, the minimum strength needs to be 32.5. But then that's why this video is very important. Then there is an exception to that rule, that there are companies like Bamburi. We have companies like Rai. Rai is in is it Kisian, or is it Kisian, right? Kisian in Nyanza, and then we have Bamburi in Mombasa. They've come up with a new product. Not really new; it's been there, but not so many people understand about it or know about it. But actually, the number of years that these products have been in the market means that there are so many people that actually also know about them. So I'll just assume that you know about this product already. You know about what we call the product that we call Bamburi Fundi, right? And then you know about a product we call Rai Boma. Rai Boma from Rai Cement Limited. That's the company. That's the company's name, I believe. And then we have Bamburi Fundi from Bamburi Cement Limited. That's in Mombasa. These two products, there might be others, but that I'm not aware about. But I don't think there are others. These are the two products that I know that have a strength of, or compressive strength of 22.5. Remember, I said that for general purpose, you need to use cement that has a minimum compressive strength of 32.5 megapascals. But these two products, that's Raiboma and Bamburi Fundi, they have a compressive strength of 22.5 megapascals. That is not bad. It is still suitable. Still, in fact, if we are trying to do it, if we are trying to use these two products for plastering, the finished work is usually very smooth and very nice, very fine to the touch and just pleasing to the eyes when you're looking at it. But there are limitations to these two products, that you cannot use it to set beams or slabs or bridges or culverts. You cannot use these two cements these two brands of cement for 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 construction projects that require or will provide load bearing. Like, you understand, load bearing, I mean that columns, that lintel in Kenya, lintel, right? Is that a universal term? Lintel, the ring beam, right? You cannot use it to construct the ring beam because ring beam is load bearing, it bears weight. So anything that bears weight, you cannot use bamburi fundi or riboma because it's not strong enough. So riboma is mostly just suitable for general masonry, that's laying bricks and plastering. Very excellent, very nice. But for other construction purposes or construction projects, please stick to 32.5 R or 32.5 MPa or 32.5 megapascals. That is the strength, the compressive strength for cement, the minimum for general construction works. Don't forget that it's not for granted. It's not something you should take for granted because you'll end up with a collapsing building and wonder why. You blame the fundi because you insisted on the 22.5 cement because they are usually a little bit cheaper. Actually, the difference is very small, by the way. The difference is like here, the difference between Simba 32.5 and Riboma 22.5 is actually 40 shillings. So you're losing an entire 10 megapascals of strength because you don't want to pay 40 shillings. Depend on the project. Unataka kwenda kutandika choo, unataka kwenda kutandika kutengeneza pit latrine, slab ya pit latrine, na unataka kutumia 22.5, kusababisha ajali, right? Wajukuu wataanguka kwa choo. Stay wise. So we say that a 2.5 of strength for cement that will ensure structural integrity. So another factor that you need to consider very closely when you're choosing your cement is the setting time, depending on the project that you are working on. Different brands or types of cement have different setting time. And when I mean setting time is how much they take before they are actually ready for. So setting time refers to the amount of time it takes for the cement to change from fluid or plastic condition and hardening. You see, when you're mixing cement into gravel or into sand, it is usually fluid-ish, or plastic. Like, it is soft, you can touch it, you can mold it, you can work around with it. You can work it up in any form you want. But then you give it some time, it will set and it will harden. So, so that is called the setting time. The time that it takes before the cement or the mixture changes from plasticity to hardening, becoming a solid. I don't know if this is making sense. So that time is what we call setting time. And so setting time is divided into two groups or into two parts. We have the initial setting time and then the final setting time. The initial setting time is usually, for most cement, it will be between 30 to 45. So 30 to 45, that period will depend on the cement that you're working with or the choice of cement. So that it will take between 30 to 45 minutes to change, to stop being a fluid and start becoming a solid. And then we have the final setting time. Now that is where it loses all its fluidity and it becomes completely solid. And now that one, it means it has already cured, it cannot change it. It has cured, it's complete. It has gained proper, it has no, it has not gained total strength. No, it's a final strength. No, it is still weak, yes, but it has completely changed to from liquid to a solid. Even if you take the material, the concrete, and mix it into water, it will not go back to being solid. It will crumble into different parts because those parts have already, the cement will have been used. I don't know if this is making sense. And that will normally take up to 600 minutes. So the initial setting time, that's between 30 to 45 minutes, and then the final setting time is up to 10 hours or 600 minutes. So that will depend. Maybe let's say maybe you're mixing that. So why is this setting time important? Depending on your project. Let's say maybe you're making this you're mixing the mixing of the cement and the all those other aggregates, all those other materials, sand, ballast, gravel, and all those other materials. The mixing is done at a different place. Maybe the machines are in a different place, and then you need to transport or transfer the mixture to a different location. So you'll know that this mixture will take at least 30 to 45 minutes, or depending on the cement that you've chosen, before it does what? It sets. It becomes not workable anymore. Or it needs to be used within that setting time. So that is why setting time is very important. That is why you actually need to understand the setting time of the cement that you're choosing. So that the cement that you're trying to transport, or the mixture, the concrete, doesn't harden before you get where you're going to use the cement at. Are you understanding what I'm saying? That you need to understand how much time it will take. Let's say, maybe for example, when a fundi, you are there, you're a mason, right? You are mixing, you have done your mixture, and then all of a sudden you have to go for lunch. Your guys settling that they need to go for lunch. They need to take a lunch break, and you've just mixed the sand and the water and the cement. You've already produced the concrete. The the mixture, and they tell you that they want to go for lunch, and you know that usually they take 1 hour taking lunch. So that means that by the time they come back, the cement will have already lost its plasticity and it will not be usable. So understanding the setting time for the cement that you're choosing is important, because so that you don't waste material. So, and actually that's one of the parameters, key quality parameters, that inspectors do use when they are when they are trying to gauge or to grade cement. How you know? Another factor that you need to consider is the fineness of the cement. Like I said, the raw materials, after they are extracted from their point of origin, they are transported, then they are ground into a powder. So the size of the particles of the powder will usually differ. This is actually something that you might actually not even think about, but actually apparently it's a factor. So how fine the cement is. Not all cements have the same level of fineness. So you need to understand how fine the particles or the dust actually is, because that's very important, because it affects the hydration of the cement, or rather how much time it takes before the cement cures or sets. So it depends whether if you want to, if your project that you if you are short on time, you want something that you want to complete your project very fast, you are short, you are running out of time, you might actually need to choose cement that has maybe bigger particles. The dust is not that fine, so that maybe hydration happens so fast, and then the project can cure very fast, and you can be on your way, do other whatever you need to do. And actually the strength, but then the bigger particles, it follows natural that the bigger the particles, the lower the strength, right? So if the cement you're choosing is has huge particles, it means that the strength of the structure will be a little bit lower. So depending on the structure that you're trying to build. If you're building a bridge, I would like to believe that you'll have to go for the smallest particle sizes, or the most fine, the finest cement, so that you get maximum strength, so for the load bearing function of the bridge or the project. So you need to keep that in mind as well. And then we another factor that you need to consider is the soundness of the cement expansion. That means that we know when you're using cement, it actually also takes time to it will actually, when it is setting and when it's curing, it actually also expands to some level. It's actually very it is not actually easy to imagine this, but it does happen. It is a thing, and it does happen that cement is a curing and setting and curing, it expands. So you want to ensure that the expansion is not more than, it should be less than, not more than 10 millimeters. So that's actually almost unnoticeable. But then there are projects where you need the cement to kind of rise or kind of expand, so that maybe that's maybe you are dealing with a project requires a lot of moisture control. you need the whatever it is you're working to be airtight to provide uh, maximum repellation or maximum prevention of moisturizing or things like that, so that it expands and covers all the cavity within whatever it is you're trying to do, or within the space that you're trying to work, so that there's no room for water to come through. So you see, it's very important to that when you're choosing your cement, you understand its soundness in terms of expansion. By soundness, I refer to the expansion, how much it will expand after when it is setting and when it's curing, so that you know if it will cause problems in the future or it will not. This will and actually this will also present the soundness that when the expansion is not that much, in as much as it is good for certain projects, it's actually also not good in certain projects. Like for example, when the cement or the slab expands too much, it becomes susceptible to cracking, and then when it is cracking, it means that the durability will be compromised. So generally, in as much as you want it to expand a little bit, ensure that it is expanding less than 10 millimeters. Hope that makes sense. And all that can be found in the data sheets of the manufacturer of that brand, because not all cements are made equally, and not all, it's not one size fits all kind of a situation here when it comes to cement. Finally, you need to ensure when you're choosing cement, you need to ensure that the sulfate content is below 3%. Read on the manual or the data sheet of the product of the brand of cement to ensure that its sulfate content is below 3%. This is to ensure that the the work the work is not susceptible to chemical attack, or it will not be affected that much by chemicals. There are chemicals in the soil, there are chemicals from rainwater, chemicals in the air and all that. And the concrete that you are using on your construction is always reacting within itself, because it's a mixture of chemicals, right? And then it is actually also reacting with the environment, be it the air, the water, or the sand. So you want to ensure that the sulfate content is below 3%. So yeah, best practices. Those took me a lot of time. That is 17 minutes. Um, I intend to stop it here, so that maybe in the next part 3, I'll be talking more about maybe best practices and tips when you're using cement and all that. So stay tuned. Don't go away. If you haven't subscribed, please ask you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, so that you get the latest information in the construction space. Thank you for watching.